There is a moment in every man's life that nobody prepares him for. It's not a breakup. It's not a failure. It's not betrayal. It's not disappointment. It's silence. The kind of silence that fills the room the first night you return home, and no one is there. The kind of silence where the air feels heavier, not because something is wrong, but because something is missing. You put your keys down. The empty apartment echoes. No one greets you, no footsteps, no laughter, no expectations, just you and the truth. And in that moment, most men ask the wrong question. Is this loneliness? But the real question, the question that defines your entire future, is this. Is this loneliness or is this freedom? Because the truth is brutal. Most men spend their entire lives surrounded by people, yet they never meet themselves. They drown their identity in relationships, careers, noise, entertainment, validation. They build their life around being needed, being approved, being chosen. But solitude exposes everything. Solitude strips a man naked in front of his own soul. Solitude introduces you to the version of yourself you've avoided for years, and that version is the beginning of real strength. The silence. Most men fear. Silence is the most honest teacher a man will ever have. When you sit alone in a quiet room with no notifications, no one asking for anything, no one validating you, no one praising you, you feel a discomfort that's deeper than sadness. It's recognition. Recognition of the truth you've buried under years of noise. You don't truly know yourself. Because men rarely confront themselves willingly. They confront themselves when they have no choice. Breakups force it, failures force it, losing everything forces it. But the silence you choose, that is the silence that transforms you. Most men fear this silence because they're afraid of what it will reveal. It reveals your lack of discipline. It reveals your dependency on others for validation. It reveals your emotional addictions. It reveals how much of your life was built on distractions, not direction. But here is the paradox that separates strong men from weak ones. What weak men fear, strong men face. What strong men face, strong men master. What strong men master becomes their advantage. Solitude is not emptiness. Solitude is a mirror. It shows you the raw version of yourself, without filters, without stories, without excuses. That man, the one you meet in stillness, he becomes the foundation of everything you will ever build. When purpose enters the room, you've heard people say, find your purpose, but most men misunderstand what purpose really is. Purpose is not passion. Purpose is not a career. Purpose is not a hobby. Purpose is not what you love. Purpose is what you cannot walk away from without betraying yourself. Purpose is the anchor that keeps a man grounded when the world becomes chaos. It is the invisible backbone that gives you direction when everything else collapses. Most men never find purpose because they're never alone, long enough to hear the voice of direction inside them. You can't find purpose when your mind is constantly stimulated. You can't find purpose when you're addicted to validation. You can't find purpose when your identity is tied to whether someone loves you or not. Purpose is born in solitude. Purpose is the companion that sits with you when no one else does. It challenges you. It strengthens you. It molds you into someone you aren't yet, but must become. When a man lives with purpose, loneliness becomes focus. Rejection becomes redirection. Silence becomes clarity. Discipline becomes natural progress, becomes enjoyable. Purpose turns solitude into strategy. A man with purpose doesn't fear being alone because he understands something other men don't. When you walk alone with direction, you're never lost. Stillness, the training of a warrior. Most men misunderstand emotional strength. They believe emotional control means suppressing feelings, never crying, never struggling. But real emotional strength is not suppression, it's sovereignty. Emotional sovereignty is the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings. A man with emotional sovereignty feels anger but doesn't explode, feels sadness but doesn't collapse, feels fear but doesn't retreat, feels desire but doesn't self-destruct, feels loneliness but doesn't panic. This kind of inner stability doesn't come from relationships. It doesn't come from comfort. It doesn't come from validation. It comes from stillness. Stillness trains a man to lead himself. It trains him to become the master of his reactions. It forces him to confront the storms within and learn how to stand in the middle of them without losing his center. Stillness teaches a man how to regulate his own emotional temperature, something that makes him powerful in every area of life, especially relationships, because women are naturally emotional beings. They test for stability. They test for consistency. They test for emotional maturity. A man who collapses under pressure, they lose respect. A man who betrays himself for approval, they lose attraction. A man who needs constant reassurance, they lose interest. But a man who remains grounded, calm, steady, that man is unforgettable. His calm is strength. His presence is authority. His silence is confidence. And stillness trains all of that. Solitude, the discipline. Most men avoid. Solitude reveals whether a man can lead himself, because solitude exposes one truth. When no one is watching, who are you? Do you waste time? Do you numb your mind with distractions? Do you escape into entertainment? Do you live in avoidance mode? Or do you rise? Do you train? Do you read? Do you build something? Do you create? Do you progress? Most men crumble without an audience. They only perform when someone is watching. They only stay consistent when there's external pressure. They only maintain discipline when someone else expects it. But the greatest men in history were not built in front of crowds. They were built in isolation. Kings are crowned in public, but they are forged in private. When no one is watching, you either create momentum or decay. And solitude makes that visible. In solitude, discipline becomes a form of self-respect. You wake up early because you said you would. You train because you know you need to. You read because your mind demands it. You work because your future requires it, not for applause, not for validation, not for praise, but because your standards depend on it. That is the difference between a boy and a man. A boy avoids responsibility. A man creates it. A king embodies it. The world fears the man who needs nothing. We live in a world built on validation. Everything is designed to make you seek approval. Social media, hookup culture, dating apps, advertising, entertainment. Everyone is chasing praise. Everyone is chasing attention. Everyone is chasing connection, even if it destroys them. But the man who learns to stand without needing any of this, that man terrifies the world, because he cannot be manipulated. He cannot be guilted. He cannot be shamed. He cannot be controlled by rejection. He cannot be bribed with affection. He cannot be broken by loneliness. He is whole, complete, self-sustained. The world mocks what it secretly admires. So people will misunderstand you. They will call you cold, distant, arrogant, emotionless. But the truth is simple. You are no longer controlled by their expectations. You are no longer directed by their approval. You are no longer shaped by their opinions. You belong to yourself. And that is the highest form of masculinity. The emergence of the complete man. A complete man is not a perfect man. Perfection doesn't exist. A complete man is a man who is whole. He has confronted his fears. He has embraced his flaws. He has processed his pain. He has built emotional discipline. He has forged purpose. He has chosen his standards. He has learned to live without needing anyone to validate him. A complete man loves without losing himself, gives without emptying himself, leads without dominating, stands firm without being rigid, stays calm when others collapse, chooses himself without guilt. His strength is not loud. His confidence is not arrogant. His energy is not aggressive. He simply knows who he is, and will not betray that for anyone. Love no longer becomes a lifeline. Love becomes a choice. Love becomes an extension of who he already is. He doesn't enter relationships to be saved. He enters them to share the wholeness he already carries within himself. This is the man women respect. This is the man other men follow. This is the man the world listens to, not because he demands it, but because he has become undeniable. Walking alone with power. Walking alone is not a punishment. It is a rite of passage. Every man destined for greatness must walk a period of his life alone. Alone with his thoughts, alone with his fears, alone with his ambition, alone with his purpose. Because solitude removes the crutches. It forces you to build strength. It forces you to build identity. It forces you to build clarity. It forces you to build discipline. Walking alone teaches a man self-leadership, self-respect, self-control, self-understanding, self-mastery. You become your own mentor, your own motivator, your own challenger, your own support system. And here is the deepest truth. Once a man learns to walk alone, he never walks the same again, even when he walks with others. He carries a different energy, a different confidence, a different presence, not because he thinks he's better, but because he knows he doesn't need anyone to become the man he is destined to be. Solitude as the gateway to greatness. Solitude is not a pause in your life. It is the foundation of your future. Every empire begins with a single man staring at 4 empty walls, realizing that no one is coming to save him. Every strong man is built in the moments the world doesn't see. Every warrior is developed in private before he ever steps into the battlefield. You want greatness, you want respect, you want power, you want inner peace, you want emotional mastery, you want self-confidence. It begins in the silence. Solitude teaches you how to think, how to rebuild, how to endure, how to strategize, how to grow, how to detach, how to focus, how to become your own foundation. Solitude is not the absence of people, it is the presence of purpose. The man who emerges from the silence. If you are alone right now, if your room is quiet, if your phone is silent, if the nights feel longer than usual, do not fear it. Do not run from it. Do not numb it. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Prepared to become the man you were always meant to be. Prepared to build a life that reflects your true values. Prepared to stand on a foundation that cannot be taken away. Prepared to love with strength instead of dependency. Prepared to lead without controlling. Prepared to walk without needing permission. Prepared to rise without needing applause. Because once you master solitude, you master your emotions, you master your direction, you master your purpose, you master your identity, you master your mind, you master your life. And that man, the man who stands tall with no audience, no validation, no approval, that is the man who becomes unbreakable. That is the man who becomes unforgettable. That is the man who becomes unstoppable. You are not behind. You are not incomplete. You are not failing. You are building, and the world will feel the power of the man you are becoming. A man shaped not by noise, but by silence. Not by validation, but by purpose. Not by others, but by himself.